The neighborhood of Willow Ridge looked like a page out of a real estate brochure that had come to life. Perfect lawns, pastel houses, smiling mailboxes. But beneath the crisp edges and rigid HOA policies, tension was always one rule away. Marcus Reeves stood outside his house that morning, adjusting a string of birthday balloons he had tied to the black metal mailbox. A small hand-drawn sign next to it read, "Ella's 7th birthday, guests welcome," in purple marker. He smiled to himself. After everything they'd been through, today was supposed to be good, normal even. A day to celebrate how far his daughter had come. Ella had been diagnosed with a rare neurological disorder 2 years ago. The seizures had nearly taken her life twice, but through careful treatment, a highly specialized regimen, and near constant monitoring, Marcus had gotten her to a stable place. She was strong now, still fragile in moments, yes, but stronger than anyone had expected. And today she was going to laugh with friends. He looked down at his phone. Still no alert from the pharmacy app. The delivery had been delayed. Again. But he could pick it up himself. It was only 10 minutes away. He turned back toward the front door when he heard the soft electric hum of a golf cart approaching. The sound, innocuous on any other day, made his stomach tighten. Rounding the corner was the familiar white HOA cart, complete with the Willow Ridge logo on its side and a tall orange flag fluttering in the wind. Behind the wheel sat Karen Winslow, HOA president, rule enforcer, and living embodiment of neighborhood control. Karen slowed as she approached Marcus's driveway, her aviator sunglasses catching the sunlight like two steel mirrors. Her mouth was tight, as though even smiling would be a violation of some internal code. She came to a halt beside the mailbox and stared at the decorations like they were graffiti. "That's not allowed," she said flatly. Marcus blinked. "Sorry?" She pointed to the balloons with a gloved hand. "HOA Guidelines, Section 4C. No temporary signage or non-holiday decor on public-facing structures without pre-approval." Marcus turned fully toward her, trying to suppress his frustration. "It's for my daughter's birthday." "One day." Karen didn't blink. "Rules don't bend for personal occasions. You'll need to remove it now." He gestured toward the house. "I have to leave. My daughter's medication delivery was delayed. I need to pick it up." She raised an eyebrow. "That doesn't change the violation. Remove the balloons, or you'll be cited." He let out a breath and took a step toward his car. "I'll deal with it when I get back." That's when she did something he didn't expect. Karen pulled the cart forward, positioning it sideways in front of his driveway, blocking his vehicle. Her white teeth showed behind a brittle smile. "You'll deal with it now." Marcus stared at her. "Are you serious?" "I don't want to be," she said, pulling out her phone and snapping photos of the balloons and sign. "But you're giving me no choice." Marcus tried to keep calm, but his hand gripped his car keys tighter. He could feel the minutes slipping away, and with them, the narrow window of time Ella's medication had to be administered before her condition became risky. From inside the house, he heard laughter. Ella was giggling, playing with her cousins. She didn't know the danger ticking closer with every wasted second. He looked back at Karen, her mirrored sunglasses reflecting his own tense face. "Lady," he said quietly, "if you don't move, someone could get hurt." Karen leaned back, smug. "Then I suggest you remove the balloons quickly, or maybe learn how to follow rules next time." Marcus could feel the storm building in his chest. He wasn't a man who raised his voice. He didn't threaten, didn't push. Years of working in pediatric neurology had taught him patience, how to stay composed even when parents broke down, when machines flatlined, when time ran out. But right now, time was running out. He took one step toward Karen's cart. "Move it!" Her lips curled into a tight, artificial smile. "You're escalating this situation. I suggest you calm down before you make things worse for yourself." Worse. For yourself, Marcus almost said, but he bit down on the words. I told you I need to leave. My daughter's seizure meds didn't come. If she has an episode... Karen scoffed, interrupting. Please don't use your child as an excuse to break HOA regulations. Everyone thinks their situation is unique. Marcus blinked. Excuse me? Every week it's something. Someone's sick, someone's grieving, someone's dog died, she said with mock sympathy. But rules are rules. Without rules, we have chaos. He stared at her in disbelief. You really don't get it. Karen leaned back in her seat, self-satisfied. I understand perfectly. You think you're entitled to ignore the bylaws. Everyone else has to follow. I've dealt with your type before. My type, Marcus repeated slowly, his voice lowering. The ones who think they're too important to follow the rules, she said. You think if you toss out a sob story, we'll let it slide, but that's not how we do things in Willow Ridge. He pulled out his phone, trying to refocus. Maybe he could call the pharmacy and have them expedite the order, but as he tapped, the screen, it buzzed in his hand. A text from Ella's sitter. Marcus, she's blinking weird again. One hand keeps shaking. I think it's starting. His blood turned cold. She was entering a pre-seizure state. He looked up from the screen, urgency rising in his throat like bile. Move the cart now. But Karen was already snapping another photo, angling her phone toward his license plate. I'll be reporting this for vehicle aggression and harassment. Are you even listening to me? He shouted, his voice cracking now. She could have a seizure at any moment. Karen didn't blink. Then you should have thought of that before you put up illegal signage. Something in Marcus snapped, not anger, but a sharp, clear break from hesitation. He turned on his heel and ran back toward the house. He wasn't going to waste another second arguing with a brick wall dressed in pastel. Behind him, he heard Karen call out, running from an HOA violation doesn't make it disappear. He ignored her. Inside the house, chaos had begun to flicker. Ella was sitting on the couch, staring off into space. Her left hand trembled slightly, rhythmically. The sitter, a college student named Naomi, looked pale. I didn't want to scare her, Naomi said shakily. But she's not answering me properly. She just keeps mumbling. Marcus rushed to the emergency cabinet and unlocked it. Inside was the auto-injector pen, a short-term med that could delay the worst of a seizure until real treatment could be administered. It wasn't ideal, but it might buy him time. He knelt beside Ella, gently taking her wrist. Hey, baby, he said softly. You with me? Ella blinked slowly. Hurts. My head. He held her tight as he gave her the shot. The seconds stretched. Outside, he could still hear Karen's golf cart idling. This wasn't just about balloons or bylaws anymore. This was life and death, and she had just made the wrong enemy. Marcus sat on the edge of the worn couch, cradling Ella's trembling body in his arms. Her eyelids fluttered weakly, eyes half-lidded and glassy. The room smelled faintly of antiseptic and birthday cake, a cruel contrast to the storm raging inside him. Naomi hovered nearby, wringing her hands. I called 911, she whispered, voice shaking like a leaf. But when I gave them your address and explained the situation, they said they'd send help. But then... Her voice trailed off. Marcus glanced at his phone. No incoming call, no text. What happened? Naomi swallowed hard. The line went dead. I think someone hung up. His jaw clenched. Did you call back? 3 times, she said. No answer. A cold knot tightened in Marcus's gut. Communication was the lifeline in moments like these. Without it, Ella was trapped in a ticking nightmare. He stood up, balancing Ella carefully. I'm going. Outside. I'll try to flag someone down. Naomi's eyes widened. Wait, Marcus. The street is... It's quiet. Too quiet. Everyone's inside. I haven't seen a single neighbor. Marcus frowned. The usual buzz of weekend activity, the Lawnmowers, kids playing, neighbors chatting, was eerily absent. He opened the front door and stepped out. The sunlight was still bright, but the neighborhood felt muted, like the world was holding its breath. He glanced left and right. Curtains twitched. A man pulled a curtain back ever so slightly, eyes wary. A woman on a porch pretended to water. "Flowers, head down," he called out, voice firm but desperate. "Hey, someone, please! My daughter's having a seizure. We need help!" No answer. Karen's golf cart was nowhere to be seen. Marcus's phone buzzed again, this time an incoming call. He answered immediately, relief flooding him. "Nice dispatch," said a calm voice. "Sir, we're aware of the situation. We're sending paramedics now. Please remain calm." Marcus started to speak. Suddenly, the call cut out again. He stared at the blank screen, heart hammering. A thought crashed into his mind. What if this wasn't random? He looked down the street. No police cars, no ambulance lights, no sirens. Karen! His mind raced back to the standoff. She'd seemed almost too ready, almost prepared. Marcus's fingers trembled as he redialed 911. This time, the line went dead the moment it connected. His blood ran cold. The neighborhood had turned into a cage. He was trapped with a daughter slipping away and no one would answer. Frustration boiled into something darker. He turned and ran back inside. Ella's eyes were now half closed, her breathing shallow. Naomi sat beside her, tears silently tracing her cheeks. Marcus knelt again, cradling Ella's small head. "This isn't happening," he whispered fiercely. "Not today." A sharp beep from his phone caught his attention. A new message from a neighbor. "Karen told us to stay inside. No emergencies. We're sorry." The betrayal hit Marcus like a punch. This wasn't just about rules anymore. It was about power, about control, about cruelty disguised as order. He gritted his teeth, fighting panic. Ella needed him calm. He reached for the emergency injector kit again. The secondary dose, his hands moved with practiced precision. "This will help." "You hold on," he told her, voice steady. Outside, the muted quiet pressed against the walls. No footsteps, no sirens, just the ominous silence of a neighborhood turned cold. Marcus knew he was alone in this fight. But he also knew one thing. He wasn't giving up. The seconds felt like hours as Marcus knelt beside Ella, her small body limp in his arms. Her shallow breaths hitched unpredictably, and the faint tremors still ran through her fingers. The emergency injector's secondary dose had bought time, but Marcus knew it was a thin shield against the storm. He glanced toward the window. Outside, the sun climbed higher, casting long shadows across the silent street. Not a single car passed. Not a single neighbor emerged. The neighborhood was locked in a frozen stillness, a silent conspiracy wrapped in white picket fences. His phone buzzed. Again. Another message, this time from the babysitter. "She's slipping. Marcus, please hurry." Panic clawed at his throat, but he pushed it down. His medical training kicked in, a cold, sharp focus cutting through the chaos. Ella needed the primary medication, the main anti-seizure dose, and it was still at the pharmacy. Marcus grabbed his keys from the counter. "Naomi, get ready to call me if anything changes. Don't hang up." Naomi nodded, her eyes wide with fear. As Marcus headed for the door, the unmistakable sound of the golf cart's engine roared outside. His heart leapt, and then sank. Karen appeared, cart screeching to a stop on the driveway. Her eyes were hard, her posture defiant. "Marcus," she called out, voice dripping with condescension. "You really need to learn some respect for the rules." He stepped outside, clutching Ella close. "Karen, this isn't about rules anymore. My daughter's life is on the line." Karen shook her head, lips tight. "I don't care. You can't just break the covenant whenever you feel like it." Marcus's jaw clenched. "You're blocking." Me from getting critical medication for my daughter. What are you going to do when she's dead because of your stubbornness? Karen's eyes flashed dangerously. I'm doing what's best for this community. His voice dropped to a deadly calm. You're doing what's best for yourself. Suddenly, Karen pulled out her phone and held it up. I'm calling the police. You're trespassing and causing a disturbance. Marcus's pulse quickened. Go ahead. Tell them a father was trying to save his child's life and you stopped him. Karen's fingers danced across her screen. Before she could complete the call, Marcus heard an urgent ringtone. His phone buzzed again. This time it was a call from the pharmacy. He answered immediately. Hello? A calm voice answered. Dr. Reeves? We just received the authorization for your emergency medication pickup. It's ready now. Relief surged through him like electricity. Thank you. I'm coming. Marcus looked up at Karen. You want to call the police? Fine. But I'm leaving with or without your permission. She narrowed her eyes but didn't move the cart. Marcus took a deep breath. I'm going around. He threw the car into reverse, maneuvering quickly but carefully around the blocking cart. Karen's shout was drowned out by the engine's roar as he sped toward the pharmacy. Just as he turned the corner, his phone vibrated violently in his hand. A call from the babysitter. Marcus, it's happening. Ella's having a seizure. His grip tightened on the steering wheel, knuckles white. He slammed the accelerator, blood pounding in his ears. Every second was a battlefield. He didn't know it yet, but Karen had done more than just block a driveway. She had put a father's desperation against a ticking clock and against the darkest corner of human cruelty. The neighborhood watched, but didn't lift a finger. Marcus raced toward the pharmacy, but in the back of his mind, one haunting thought echoed louder than, sirens. Did they even know who I was? Marcus sped through the neighborhood streets, every nerve screaming in urgency. His mind raced ahead, calculating every second. How long until Ella's seizure would worsen? How fast he could get the medication in hand and back to the house? As he pulled into the pharmacy's parking lot, his phone rang again. This time it was an unfamiliar number. He hesitated, then answered. Hello? A calm but firm voice responded. Dr. Marcus Reeves? This is Captain Thomas Granger with the Willow Ridge Police Department. Marcus's breath caught. Yes, this is he. We've received reports about an ongoing disturbance at your residence, the captain said. We understand it involves a medical emergency. Marcus swallowed. Yes. My daughter is having a seizure. I'm on my way back with her medication. Now. There was a pause then. Dr. Reeves, we want to make sure you're safe. The HOA president, Karen Winslow, has reported an obstruction complaint. Marcus's jaw clenched. Karen is blocking me from leaving my driveway to get critical. Medication for my daughter? The captain's voice grew serious. Dr. Reeves, are you aware of your public role here in Willow Ridge? As the lead pediatric neurologist for the county hospital, your work is well known. Marcus's grip tightened on the phone. I know who I am. Many in the community do, Captain Granger said. There's some confusion on their part, it seems. Marcus's mind flashed back to Karen's cold, condescending demeanor, the smirk, the disinterest in Ella's condition. Why would she block you? He asked. That's what we're trying to understand, the captain admitted. We're dispatching officers to your address. Please remain where you are. Marcus exhaled slowly, relief crashing over him in waves. He hurried inside the pharmacy, his hands shaking as the pharmacist handed over the carefully labeled medication. Here you go, Dr. Reeves. We expedited this after your call. Thank you, Marcus said, heart pounding as he rushed to his car. His phone buzzed again, and this time it was a text from a neighbor. Karen's gone too far. People are talking. Marcus drove like a man possessed, each red light a dagger in his side. When he finally pulled into his driveway, the police cruiser was already there, flashing lights casting long blue shadows on the manicured lawns. Officers approached quickly, nodding respectfully as Marcus carried the medication inside. "Ms. Winslow has been advised to step down temporarily," one officer said quietly. "There's an investigation underway." Marcus barely registered. His focus was on Ella, now, pale and barely responsive on the couch. He administered the medication, waiting anxiously as her breathing began to even out. Slowly, her eyes fluttered open. "Daddy?" she whispered, weak but alive. Marcus swallowed the lump in his throat. "I'm here, baby, I'm right here." Outside, the neighborhood was shifting. Whispers turned to conversations. Conversations turned to calls for accountability. A man across the street lowered his blinds but didn't close them. Woman on the porch stared into the distance, guilt writ plain on her face. Marcus knew this was only the beginning. For too long, Willow Ridge had been about appearances and control. But now, it had a reckoning. And Karen's mask of authority was cracking. The next morning, Willow Ridge felt different. The usual quiet suburbia was shattered by murmurs that rippled through the community like a slow-moving wildfire. Marcus sat in his living room, Ella resting beside him, her breathing steady, but fragile. The haze of exhaustion clung to him, but his mind was alert, swirling with questions about Karen and the neighbors who had stayed silent. The front doorbell rang, cutting through the quiet. He opened it to find two local reporters, cameras in, tow. "We're with Channel 7 News," one said briskly. "We heard about what happened yesterday. Can we talk to you?" Marcus nodded slowly, steeling himself. As cameras rolled, he recounted the standoff, the blocked driveway, Karen's refusal to move, the seizure, the silence of neighbors. Outside, the HOA board members gathered, their faces tight, uncomfortable. Word had spread fast. The headlines the next day were damning. HOA president accused of endangering child's life. Neighborhood divided over rules versus humanity. Back at the community clubhouse, the HOA held an emergency meeting. Karen sat at the head of the long conference table, arms crossed, wearing her usual icy smile that didn't reach her eyes. Marcus, invited by the board to attend, watched as the tension thickened the air. One board member, Mr. Ellison, spoke first. "Karen, these allegations are serious. Blocking a parent from getting emergency medication? This isn't just a violation of HOA rules. It's a moral failure." Karen's smile faltered for the first time. "I was enforcing the rules. We can't let exceptions destroy order." Marcus shook his head. Rules aren't meant to trap people when lives are at stake. Karen's voice dropped to a chilling whisper. "You don't understand what's at risk here." "What risk?" Marcus asked, stepping forward. She looked around, then locked eyes with him. "The image of Willow Ridge. The perfect community. People come here for safety, for predictability. Your emergency could unravel that." Suddenly, the room grew silent. Marcus realized then that Karen's obsession wasn't just about rules. It was about control, about maintaining an illusion, and she had been willing to gamble with a child's life to keep it. The board members shifted uncomfortably. One woman whispered, "She's losing it." The meeting ended in chaos. Karen storming out, her reputation crumbling in the wake of the scandal. Outside, Marcus caught sight of neighbors staring from behind curtains, some avoiding his gaze. But others approached him, offering quiet apologies, promising to stand up next time. That night, as Marcus sat by Ella's bedside, his phone buzzed with a message from an unexpected source. It was from Karen. "You don't know the full story. Meet me tomorrow. Alone." Marcus stared at the message, heart pounding. Was this a threat? A confession? A desperate plea? Whatever it was, it promised answers, and he knew he had to go. Because in Willow Ridge, secrets ran deeper than manicured. Lawns, and Karen's mask was slipping faster than anyone realized. Marcus arrived at the community park just before dusk, the sky painted in fading orange and purple hues. The playground was empty except for a single figure sitting on a bench beneath a towering oak tree. Karen. She looked smaller somehow, her usual armor of authority softened by the twilight. Her eyes met his with an unreadable expression, a mix of guilt, defiance, and something deeper. "Thank you for coming," she said quietly. Marcus hesitated, then nodded. "You said I didn't know the full story. I'm listening." Karen sighed, folding her hands in her lap. "You need to understand why I did what I did." He folded his arms. "I want to understand." She took a breath. "My son, he was born with a rare neurological condition. Seizures started when he was a toddler." Marcus's gaze sharpened. "I didn't know." "Few did. It was a private battle, one I fought alone," she said, voice wavering. "We lived through years of emergency calls, hospital visits, the constant fear that one day we wouldn't make it in time." Marcus's heart softened. The mask of Karen the tyrant cracked, revealing a woman shaped by pain and trauma. "I set the rules to protect this community," she said, "because when my son was sick, I learned that chaos and disorder could destroy everything. I thought, by enforcing control, I could prevent others from suffering the same helplessness." Marcus's voice was low. "But you nearly let my daughter suffer because of it." Karen nodded, tears glistening. "I was wrong. I lost sight of what really matters." They sat in silence, the weight of shared understanding settling between them. Suddenly, a noise startled them. A car door slammed nearby. Marcus stood, scanning the shadows. A figure stepped into the dim light. "Officer Granger, we've been monitoring the situation," he said, nodding at Karen. "We're here to ensure things don't escalate further." Karen looked resigned. "I'm ready to face the consequences." Marcus glanced at her. "Maybe this can be a new beginning. For all of us." Karen managed a small, tentative smile. As they walked back toward the neighborhood, the first stars blinked awake. In Willow Ridge, the perfect community, the real fight for humanity and forgiveness had just begun. The next morning, the Willow Ridge community gathered at the clubhouse under an unusual tension. Word had spread fast. Everyone wanted to know how the saga would end. Marcus sat near the front, Ella resting peacefully on his lap. The medication was working, and she smiled faintly up at him, but the weight of recent days hung heavy in the air. Karen entered last, her posture no longer defiant but burdened. She took a seat at the head of the room, eyes sweeping over the neighbors assembled. The HOA board president, Mr. Ellison, called the meeting to order. "We're here not just to discuss policies, but the safety and humanity within our community." Karen stood. "I want to apologize to Marcus, to Ella, and to all of you. My actions were wrong. I let fear control me. I thought by enforcing strict rules I could protect everyone, but I nearly caused a tragedy." Murmurs echoed around the room. Some faces showed sympathy, others hard skepticism. Marcus stood, stepping toward Karen. "We all make mistakes, but the real question is what we do afterward. I want Willow Ridge to be a place where humanity comes before rules." Before anyone could respond, the clubhouse doors swung open. Two figures entered, a woman and a man, both with serious expressions. "I'm Dr. Eliza Reeves," the woman announced, voice clear and commanding. "And this is Detective James Holloway." Marcus's eyes widened. Eliza was his estranged sister, a respected immunologist who had just returned to Willow Ridge after years away. "I came back after hearing about what happened," Eliza continued. "And there's something you all need to know." A hush fell. Eliza pulled a thick folder from her bag and laid it on the table. "Karen's son's condition, it's not just rare, it's hereditary. The same genetic mutation runs in our family." Gasps echoed. Karen looked shocked but nodded slowly. "That's true. Marcus swallowed hard, realization dawning. So that's why Karen was so obsessed, her son's illness and now Ella's. Detective Holloway stepped forward. But there's more. We investigated the 911 line interference. It wasn't just bad luck or negligence. Someone deliberately cut the lines. A murmur of disbelief spread. Karen's assistant was involved, Holloway said gravely. She's been removed from her post and is cooperating with authorities. Karen's face twisted in anguish. I never wanted this. I was protecting my family, yes, but I never wanted to hurt anyone else. Marcus looked around the room. We're all flawed, but now we have the chance to rebuild, together. The neighbors exchanged uncertain but hopeful looks. Outside, the sun pierced through the clouds. For the first time in days, Willow Ridge felt like a community, not just a collection of houses, and Marcus knew that Ella's fight, Karen's fall, and the dark secrets finally coming to light would change everything. Because sometimes, the fiercest battles are fought not against rules or neighbors, but against the shadows we keep hidden.